Hi, and welcome back to Mekor Tiger Valley's podcast. This is today, actually, our episode 2. And today we've got a really exciting vehicle that we are going to discuss. That's the all new Suzuki Swift, the Generation 4. I'm saying all new. It was launched, I think, it was last year, September. It was launched and it's taken South Africa by storm currently. In fact, in July this year, it was one of the best selling cars in the country. And this is now, it's really took the country by storm. So joining me today on our podcast is Chelsy Pinto. She's from Swift Speed Club of South Africa. Good morning to you, Chelsea.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much for that one, Chelsea. Always nice to have you. And also alongside me today is Sean Palvey, our dealer principal. Good morning to you, Sean.
Good morning.
And also Neville Steenkamp, our sales manager here at Mekor Suzuki Tiger Valley.
Morning, guys. Morning.
Right, today we will be talk about some features about this vehicle, and maybe we all know about the features that are actually working here, but just to enlighten our listeners out there about the new Swift. So I'm just going through the program quickly. On our first segment, we're going to do the launch and success of the Swift. Our second segment is the features and improvements. Our third one would be the sales and marketing pack, and also the fourth one, lastly, the fourth one will be the customer experience and the future of the Swift. And at the end of the program, we will give our listeners a chance to, if they do have any questions. So the listeners out there, please prepare your questions. You can send them along, and at the end of the program, we will listen to that. Right, let's get this show on the road. And Sean, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm all
And
ready.
you, Neville?
Always.
And you,
ready.
Chelsea?
I'm ready.
There we go. Chelsea, let's start with you. Now, the Swift, as I can remember, before even working for Suzuki, has been always a favorite in South Africa. But this fourth generation, I know that the Generation 3, when it was launched, I think it was in 2017, was a nice car. Everybody looked at it, but it didn't take off so quickly. Why did this Generation 4, in your opinion, stand out so quickly after the launch?
So actually, the fourth generation success has a lot to do with the third generation. As I'm sure you know, so when the first gen came out, it garnered about 3,000 sales. The second gen was about 12,000 sales. The third gen, by the time it was discontinued, was about 67,000 sales
Yeah.
in its lifespan. Yeah. So the third gen Swift came in at a fantastic time. It came in just before COVID. And after COVID, consumers were obviously looking at a much more affordable but comprehensively spec'd valuable option. So the third gen became very successful and started building momentum there. Of course, not with just the product, but with Suzuki's fantastic dealer network, support, fleet, all of that. Obviously, it takes many hands to make success. So by the time the fourth gen came out, the third gen was established. Swift was becoming an icon all on its own. And the fourth gen came out and people were like, okay, now this car is the obvious choice. There is no reason not to choose a Swift now, because it not only has proven itself since 2008 as being such a formidable contender, but now this fourth one, you have this new sleek design, but still unmistakably Swift. You can see that it's still Swift from all the different generations. It's now absolutely affordable. If you start looking at its competitors, like, it doesn't even come close to the Swift's affordability. The efficiency has been improved, and South Africans are cash strapped. That's how it always is. The third gen, one of the reasons why it was so popular was because of how fuel efficient it is. And then the fourth gen just became so much more popular from that. People were like, you know what, I can just carry on driving forever with my car, no problem. It cost me 500 Rand, and I've basically seen half of South Africa. So, let's do it. But then it's just became such a value-packed offering. The car is now so comprehensively spec'd, which we will go in through later. But the success globally Swift was a formidable offering in India, in Europe, in Japan, all of that. It's one of the models that is still around today. There's not a lot of hatchbacks left. Of course, the trend is now these cookie cutter SUV crossovers. So to still be able to have just an honest product, a good product, and not only that, it's fun. The Swift is so fun. So it's not like you're having to now compromise on features because it's got everything. You're not compromising on reliability because Suzuki is just a leader there when it comes to reliability.
True. Yeah.
I mean, Toyota wouldn't partner with Suzuki if it wasn't a reliable product. So, but now you can have a fun car. So, it just makes sense. Why not go for a Swift? It doesn't make sense to not go for a Swift. Of course, people have different tastes, but it's just such a compelling offering.
Yeah. And thank you for that one, Chelsea. That was a lot, but it was very informative. And Sean, as Chelsea said, now I think that the Gen 3 has paved the way for the Gen 4. And from a dealer perspective, I know that you, as being a dealer principal, you're always on the floor interacting with clients. So, in your what is your opinion from the customers?
Well, as Chelsea said, part of this is my own opinion. The fourth generation car has combined all the attributes and the qualities of the previous generations of the Swift, but the fourth generation car, they've added a little bit of flair and style to the car, and they've almost given the car a bit of a sort of niche market appearance. And if one looks at the two-tone paintwork finishes on the certain colors, and in the GLX spec, the car looks really good. The car feels very well built. I've always said that they've got the most comfortable seats. It's got an amazing driving position, and from a customer perspective in the showroom environment, people are looking at pre-owned cars, and I often speak to customers on the floor. They walk into our showroom and they are able to purchase a brand new, thoroughly modern, thoroughly safe. I mean, with having 6 airbags as a start and all the other standard passive safety features. The car has so much more to offer than the previous generation. So Suzuki have been very clever in building on that and pricing the car aggressively, and the rest is history.
And thank you for that one, Sean. I think that is a very valid point that you were making there. Now, Neville, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball to you. So you as well also on the floor daily and also mingle with customers.
Yes.
2 or 3 reasons that the customers give for choosing the new Swift over its competitors.
Thanks, Evan. So in my personal opinion, speaking to the customers, talking to them on a daily basis on the floor, as one of the biggest reasons is value for money in the Swift itself. Besides everything that Chelsea touched on, Chelsea gave quite a nice broad spectrum of why the Swift is such an amazing vehicle in the market. Main reasons that I'm getting feedback from clients is value for money, exceptional fuel economy. Even if it's a manual or automatic, people always think a CVT or automatic, it's going to give you less fuel economy. It actually gives you similar to a manual depending on driving style. So it ranges from between 18 kilometers per liter up until 22, 23. I mean, myself, I drive a Swift. I can drive any vehicle on the floor that I want to, but I choose to drive a Swift purely because it's a very fun vehicle. It's an exceptionally fun car to drive, exceptionally good fuel economy on the vehicle itself, and then touching back on the features itself. It's got all the features that you need, from basic standard features to bit more extra features in the vehicle itself. So yeah, those are the three reasons. Is reliability number one. It's the most reliable vehicle in my personal opinion on the vehicle, being a Japanese brand, and value for money and fuel economy.
Thank you about that one, Neil. And talking about the fuel economy, I think one stage I got 22.6 k's per litre.
Yeah,
But
no, it's
that was
amazing.
driving religiously 100, but that's fine.
Yeah,
But you say something.
you're West Cape. You don't want to go quicker than 100.
Right, if you just tuned in now here at our Suzuki Tiger Valley podcast, this episode 2 today, and where we are discussing the Swift, and Chelsy Pinto from Swift Speed Club of SA is joining us today, and also Neil Steenkamp, our sales manager, and Sean Palmy. Right, we finished our first segment. Segment 2, we go to our features and improvements. So, Chelsy, I'm with you again. So, just to enlighten our customers outside or potential customers. So some of the biggest, I think, roughly just go through some of the biggest changes customers will notice in the new Swift compared to the previous generation.
Okay, well, of course, being a new generation, there's certain things that need to quantify that. There's a new design, but like I say, it still looks a lot like the previous gen Swifts. And unfortunately, design is a bit of a hit and miss situation. So I personally absolutely love the look of the vehicle. I think it actually looks better than the previous generation. But some people still need to warm up to it. And that's perfectly okay. You know, we can all have our own opinions. But the biggest thing about it is that it has 6 airbags across the range. It does not matter which model you have, from the GL Plus, obviously the range topper, all of them come with 6 airbags. And that is basically an industry first for this sort of segment, and something that Suzuki can be very proud of. Of course, other features in terms of safety that are carried over from the previous generation include ISOFIX, it includes ESP, there's heel hold control on the CVT like there was on the previous AMT. Speaking of the CVT obviously replaces the AMT. I think it's fantastic.
Definitely.
When we first heard about CVT, I was a bit skeptical, but man, the CVT gearbox is mated so beautifully to that engine.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a Swift GLX CVT. Man, it was such a beautiful car and so responsive. So one less cylinder in the engine, one less kilowatt, one less Newton meter, but I'm telling you that car is so much faster. And that comes down to where the torque delivery is sitting in. The car is so responsive, it's ready to go. And, it's very surprising. And then other features now, we have the updated DA2 radio that is available on GL Plus that comes in a 7-inch. And then the GLX comes with the 9-inch, the very fancy radio that you see in Baleno, Gravitara, Franks. Very cool radio. One of the things I really like about the new generation radio is the fact that, and it's so silly, but the previous SLDA, when you turned the car on, even though you were connected via your phone with the smartphone capabilities, it would automatically default to radio. And now my car is shouting at me as soon as I switch the car on, and I'm not happy with that. Yeah. So I really like the DA2 radio because it goes to the setting that you left the car on. It uses the smartphone connection, so it waits for you to connect the phone again. And of course, with the GLX Swift, you get the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which in the beginning, I was very skeptical about when I saw it on Baleno and Franks because it was very glitchy in my opinion. Now, I have zero issues now on in terms of glitchiness. It works so well. And then other features that were not available on the 3rd gen, but now on the 4th gen, for the GLX Swift, you get cruise control. So many people are happy about this. This was a big demand, even with the previous generations. And my absolute favorite is those LED daytime running lights with the LED projection lights. Makes night driving an absolute breeze. You can drive with confidence. The illumination is superb. So that's why I say, it's just so comprehensively spec, such a value conscious vehicle. It cannot be beaten, especially at that price point. The engine is so efficient, so responsive. It's just a win. And in terms of maintenance for that engine now, it's also been improved, obviously, because there's one less cylinder. So it's just ticking boxes all around. Space is pretty much the same as before. Boot space is the same sort of literage as the previous generation, but it's comfortable. And Suzuki, once again, has made serious magic in terms of the cabin of the vehicle, and everything fits and works perfectly. Ergonomics are great. As you can tell, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Talking about that, Neville, and I think also, and Sean, that driving the CVT is an absolute pleasure.
That's amazing, especially with the pedal shifts and everything as well. There's a couple of small changes that make
So-
a huge difference.
So Neville, here's another curveball for you.
Wait.
Being always on the floor and always interacting with customers as well. And what is your feedback when the customers do take it for a test drive? What are they mostly surprised by?
So the biggest surprise I get feedback from customers is touching on what Chelsy just said as well, is the responsiveness of the vehicle itself. A customer, when they come in, they think 3-cylinder, that's not an engine that's going to be able to perform as they think it should. But the engineering on this engine is amazing. It is an exceptionally responsive vehicle, and every and each customer. That's why I say once a customer comes in and they've driven the vehicle, they buy the car. It's as simple as that. It's an exceptionally quiet cabin as well. Touching on also what Chelsy just spoke about now is the modern feel in the vehicle, the features of the car, the 9-inch screen, and even the GL Plus. Chelsy, you mentioned that the GLX comes with a wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The GL Plus also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Yes, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
No, 100%. So they've spec'd the vehicle even from your mid-spec, from your GL model, your GL entry-level model that's mainly used by and a lot purchased by rental and fleet companies. Even from the mid-spec, where it's very well spec'd from the mid-spec upwards to the GLX. So it's a comfortable drive, it's a responsive drive, and it's a fun drive, and it's a safe drive at the end.
You know, it's so nice when Neville speaks about the Swift, because I can see that he is so passionate about the
Very
Swift. Very much. Sean,
Yes.
now, as we all know that we always see Suzuki's on the road. Everywhere Suzuki's, and has become a household name in South Africa. And the Swift of Suzuki's is a huge part of that. Now, how important do you feel is the Swift to the Suzuki brand here at Mekor Suzuki?
Well, I would say for Suzuki as a brand in totality, I would estimate it's most definitely the most important model in the range. And without our Swift sales, we would be nowhere near the numbers that we are achieving at this point in time. And we can be very, very thankful and very, very grateful for that. And it is between the Swift and, I would say at this point in time, the Francs. These are our two most high volume sellers, and across the dealer network, that seems to be the norm. And the Swift has been around for a long time. It's a well-known car. People in South Africa, if you think about the traditional, let's call it the Toyota crowd, it's all about dependability and reliability, and Suzuki's right up there. And we talk about Swifts arriving at our workshop and only coming in for servicing and very little else. And that's testament to what the car has meant to our local market, and that's why we're doing so well with the product. It's almost used car money, and you're buying a really, really well-made, beautiful looking, well-produced, brand new vehicle. Lots of warranties and service plans, and so it's all good.
Thank you for that one, Sean. I think we all agree on that. Now we're going over to our segment 3. And remember, your listeners out there, you can pop in your questions here. If you do have any questions, and I see Daniel's already there. And also Sally, they have lots of questions. At the end of the program, we will listen to all the questions and we will answer them as we can. But we think we can, huh?
Yeah, we'll have fun.
Right, let's go over to sales and the market impact of the Swift. So, Chelsy, So the Swift, I always thought it was the best-selling vehicle in South Africa, but it's like sort of for me, it's the best-selling vehicle. I think the Polo and the Swift are sort of hand in hand. So that's an incredible achievement for the Swift. So what do you think? What do you think is driving that success, Chelsea?
Once again, it comes down to value for money. Of course, we have touched on this a few times now, but the Swift is just so damn good. So well priced for under 300,000 Rand. You know, if we're looking at the range topper, we have a very good vehicle. All the safety equipment that you need and none of the stuff you don't. All the other features that you need, such convenience, space, utility, it's practical, it drives beautifully, very fun, as mentioned earlier. It's just so good. Then the added benefit as well is that, yeah, you can have an excellent product, but if the company backing the product is terrible, all right, it's not really going to work. So Suzuki South Africa is now a trusted brand in this market. Suzuki has cemented itself as being number 2 in the country, which is an amazing achievement. It has taken Suzuki a long time. Sure, it's not like, say, for instance, the other Chinese brands that have come in and have dominated, but we will see that Suzuki's continuous efforts and their tried and trusted measures of ensuring the stability of their network, the stability of their parts supply, customer retention, all of that stuff. These are measures that will ensure success for the long term, which of course Suzuki is seeing now. There's excellent after-sales support. There's almost 120 dealers in South Africa, and that is Volkswagen dealer numbers. So people are like, okay, that's not a lot, but when you realize that is VW numbers, okay, you realize that Suzuki does have a large footprint. And those 120 dealers are not just in South Africa, it's in some of our neighboring countries as well. So there's support for people when they cross borders or in rural locations like Kokstad or King Williamstown or
everywhere.
you know, some of these places I can't even pronounce. So you know, there's lots of support out there, and with the fuel prices being so high, and let's be quite honest here, they are never going to go back down. That's just how the cookie is crumbling now. The resources are decreasing in terms of fuel and so on. So the demand is high, prices are going to continue to increase. And the Swift just delivers in terms of excellent fuel economy. Granted, that's the whole Suzuki range, but especially when it comes to the 1.2 Swift, the Desire, the 1 liters and so on, absolutely frugal, so good on your pocket. And it's not just there as well. The insurance is really, really good on the Swift. I have a first-gen Swift, okay, so quite old.
I remember.
2009, yeah, 2009 model. Fully comprehensive insurance, 3,000 Rand excess. I paid 230 Rand a month for insurance.
Yes, that's amazing. Eh?
Yeah, so, but for a Swift, for a new Swift, my profile was sitting at about 480, 500.
Yeah.
So it's just very good. It just makes sense, especially in these tough economic times, and it allows people to be able to afford to be mobile. You don't have to rely on unreliable transportation methods such as taxis or lifting or Uber or anything that can be very dangerous. You can actually afford to have your own vehicle, and not just any vehicle, but a fantastic car.
Thank you for that one, Chelsea. And sure, now I think we all agree that the Swift is setting the trend of sales in a dealership and also creating the momentum that we're looking for in a dealership. So, Sean, in your opinion, also, how has the sales momentum of the Swift impacted us here with other products as well?
Well, it was, as I mentioned a little while ago in our previous segment, a large part of the reason that the showroom floor is always so busy is because people are coming around to look at the Swift. They want to see the car. And although we have thousands of them on the road, and this has been one of the mainstays of our sales drive, is there's so many newcomers being introduced to the brand and then end up buying the Swift, and then customers that have bought the car in the past and they come back and they buy again and again. And I've met a few clients in the last couple of months that are on their third and fourth Suzuki Swift, and it's been massively impactful on us at showroom level, and it's a car that we just absolutely cannot do without.
Correct. I fully agree with you on that one, because setting the trend was also setting the trend for the other vehicles.
Sure.
Right, we're going over to our last segment today, and this is the customer experience and the future that holds Suzuki Swift for us. So Neville, again, I'm going to start with you. The type of customer who buys a Swift, what is the type of customer that buys a Swift? Is it first-time buyers, or do you see families or older customers?
So in the past, the customer base that we saw was a lot of a younger based customers. So anything between 21 and 30. That was the buyers, the type of customer that bought the Suzuki Swift. But these days it's broad, it's exceptionally broad. So it is return business. It's between 21 and 30 years old. It's fleet vehicles, companies buying the vehicles for their companies, again touching on the affordability factor and the cost of ownership towards the car. It's a big factor for companies, and so it's really a broad client base at this stage, in my personal opinion. But I would say mostly it would be students, first-time buyers, students, young professionals, and actually a lot of people purchasing their last vehicle as well, retirees. A lot of the older generation, especially with the CVTs, because it drives so comfortable. It's got everything that they need. It's got the small little feature that they changed, just to mention on that, is the height adjustable seats, especially for the older generation. The previous gen didn't have from the mid-spec model or the entry-level model. It was only the GLX model that had the height adjustable seats. So now from the GL Plus, across the range, it's got height adjustable, and that puts it in a different market segment for me as well, in terms of a client base with the older generation that struggles a bit to get out of a lower vehicle,
Like me.
like old Grijshaar here next to me. So that's it's a broad spectrum. It's a broad spectrum now.
I do agree on that one, Neville, because just to say that, because remember with the previous generation, older people used to go for the Ignis because of the height.
Yeah, because of the height. Yeah.
And also about affordability, then other people wanted to go for the GL Swift, but then they chose rather the Ignis or something higher because it didn't have seat adjustable.
Correct.
So I think Suzuki, the Swift, has made a major improvement by putting the seat adjustment there. Chelsea, looking at the bigger picture, our time is running out now as well. So briefly, what does the future hold for Suzuki in South Africa, especially with cars like the Swift, which is performing so strongly now?
Suzuki will continue to grow. The Suzuki is very strong globally on a global aspect. Partnerships with Toyota it really greatly benefits Suzuki, both internationally and locally. This partnership has also helped improve our brand image. The strategy will always talk about the continued growth, the maintenance of the current growth as well, in terms of the after-sales support, the dealer support, and making sure that the customer always stays as a central focus. Suzuki's now large shift is through customer experience and that whole ownership experience, so that people continue to not only buy Suzukis, but replace their Suzukis with new Suzukis, of course. You know, we don't just want people to come in and be one and done. So the products already speak so well for themselves in terms of that, if the products alone we're talking. But Suzuki South Africa is making sure that they cover all aspects in terms of that ownership experience. And it's also one of the only brands that are really taking into account the whole experience, once again, of the customers, such as like the Jimny gathering events and so on. And they encourage the collaboration with owners and so on. But of course, the focus will always be on affordability, bringing in innovative products that people can actually use. None of this additional fluff and stuff that costs money that people will not actually use, doesn't work in South Africa because our infrastructure doesn't allow for it. And all of these aspects just continue to build trust in the brand, trust in the product. And we'll continue to see obviously innovative things, more hybrid, possible electrification and so on, because that's just how the trends go. But whether that is happening, when that is happening in South Africa, of course, we'll know closer to the time. You guys can just keep an ear to the ground and eyes open, and we'll see from there.
I also see that Suzuki has become a loyalty brand. In other words, customers don't jump to another brands. So it has become a loyal brand.
No, of course.
It's actually also referred to as a legacy brand
A
amongst
legacy brand, yes.
other competitors.
Yeah, that's the right term.
Sean, now
Yes.
the big question for you as the dealer principal, die hoofman oor 100.
Sure. Sure.
What does it mean to you personally to be part of the Suzuki success story?
Yeah, I'll start that by just making a small, just a little bit of a backstory. But my daughter just recently turned 18, and it so turned out that she took delivery of her little Suzuki, and so I've introduced the brand to my own family. And just yesterday, I was thinking about this. We've just sold a new Swift to a lady. I think she took delivery of a car yesterday or today. She's 83 years old, and and that just speaks volumes for the market reach that this product has introduced, and I take a lot of pride in being involved with a car manufacturer and a brand that is really doing it right. And our relationship, which the public are not, the public don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, but our interactions with Suzuki South Africa, they've got such a vested interest in their dealers and their dealer network, and it's just proof that that ethical dealings and ethical business practices are of outright utmost importance to Suzuki, and I pride myself in that spirit within this very workplace that we are in right now. So it is, personally, I'm very proud and honored to be associated with the brand.
Thank you for that one, Sean. That was very insightful. Right, you are tuned in to Mekor Suzuki Tiger Valley's podcast. And now we're going over to our listeners and the questions that they do have. It was such an insightful...
Amazing.
Right.
Loved it.
Yeah, enjoyed. Yeah,
Let's listen to what our listeners... so we've got, firstly, we've got Daniel from Mitchell's Plain. How's it, Daniel?
This is Daniel from the Plain. I need to know what's the boot size of the Swift, please. Thank you.
The boot size of the Swift.
The
I
boot
think
size
it's
of the Swift.
265 litres. Am I right, Chelsea?
Yeah,
Yeah, 265 litres. That's the boot size of the Swift. Daniel, I hope you aren't...
Beat me to the gun there.
Okay, next up, we've got Sally from Blouberg, or Sally from Blouberg, if she's English.
Hi, I'm Sally and I'm from Blouberg. I just wanted to find out, I'm interested in the Swift, but I'd just like to know what the fuel consumption is on the vehicle and whether it's economical for city driving.
Fuel consumption, as we discussed, I think I got 22.6 k's per litre, and if you are converted, I think it's 4.6 litres per 100 kilometre. Chelsea?
Yes, it is the claim figure is 4.6. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing about the Swift, just on that point quickly, is that normally you get specs from a vehicle that says the fuel consumption that, and then you never get it. The Swift,
The claimed figures.
the claim figures, but the Swift is one of the claim figures are correct.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, 'cause they usually test that under ideal circumstances and at end, but the Swift is one of the few ones that actually stick with a claim figure. which is an amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody from the Paul, that's Kobus.
Goeiemôre, dis Kobus hier van die Parel. Ek wil net graag weet, wat laat jou ikonies voel in die Suzuki Swift?
What like you iconic? What does you make feel iconic?
Yes, everything. What does not make you feel iconic in the new Suzuki Swift? And I think we touched on everything. Chelsea, I don't know if you want to touch on that.
So the Gen 3, when we brought out the facelift model of the Gen 3, we basically labeled it as it's an icon because of how it had garnered a massive reputation over the years. So the campaign eventually became how the car is now. It's an icon and you want to be part of owning that iconic vehicle. And when the 4th gen came out, it's basically upgraded itself to feels like an icon. You can feel like an icon. You can feel iconic. The car feels like it is the car to have in South Africa.
We're bragging rights.
I can just add something to that, Chelsea, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I come from well, I've been involved with motorcycles my whole life, but I've always known Suzuki motorbikes to be unbreakable. I've been to a few rallies in my life and I've watched these guys rev the living daylights out of these things and they just never break. But on the Gen 2 Swift, which I owned a 1.4 SE automatic, which was the prelim to the first of the keyless go cars, the GLS, I think it was called. And my car was introduced with those little silver door handles and the same wheel as the GLS, and it had the little wing on the boot lid. And I loved the look of the car, but coming from a motorbike background, I talk about the windscreen and the A-pillars on the second generation Swift. That emulated the style of a helmet visor, and that was Suzuki's intention when they designed that car.
Yes, so that actually comes from the 1st gen as well. Literally, that was the design concept. It was to emulate a sun visor helmet, and that design feature has come through from all the generations. So even to the 4th generation now, you have your blacked out A and B pillars, which just emulates that visor look, especially so the way that it is. The windscreen is curved and so on. So like when I put my 4th gen again next to my 1st gen, you can definitely see that car is still the same family.
Without a doubt.
Right, we've got time for one more, and that is Dewald from Pretoria. How's it, Pretoria?
Hi, ek is Dewald from Pretoria, and I just want to know what makes the Swift stand out from the others, and why would I choose the Swift?
I wouldn't believe he's from Pretoria with that accent. Really?
And why would I choose the Swift? That's a common question.
Yes.
There are too many reasons.
That's a no-brainer.
I hope he's been listening to the show.
Yeah.
I've been going on and on about why everyone should be getting this.
Yeah.
Right, I think our time is up now. So it was such an insightful discussion, and the Swift Generation 4 is clearly more than just a car. It's a movement in South Africa right now. A huge thank to Chelsy Pinto. She's from Swift Speed Club of SA. Thank you very much, Chelsy, for such an honor to have had you here on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And also Sean.
Thank you. Great.
And also Neville.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Chelsea, for your time. We appreciate it.
And of course, thank you to our listeners for tuning into episode 2 of the Mekor Suzuki Tiger Valley podcast. And don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next episode. And the next episode, that's episode 3, will be the Super Carry and the Eco. So until then, drive safe and drive Suzuki.